Okay, so what's up, Darren Robinson? You know, it'd be a great question is I've always known you as a kind of some type of influencer on Twitter, but I don't really know how that came to be.
Okay, here's my views on this. I don't particularly like being referred to as an influencer just because there's always been sort of a negative connotation with that. Like I think of sort of the Kim Kardashians of the world, basically people who are paid to promote different coins or to say different things or whatever. And that's not the case with me. I've had people reach out to me and ask if they can pay me X amount of particular tokens to then talk about them. And I've always said no. I've always just said, if you want me to talk about it, I have to believe in the project. I've got to do my own research. You know, like with Safemoon, for example, it's a coin or a token that I, believe in. I see potential there. So I talk about it a lot. Nobody's paying me to do that. In terms of me being an influencer, honestly, I'm not really sure where that stems from. Unless people just think because I have a verified account that I'm like a bigger deal than I am or something.
Yeah, how'd you get verified?
So I've had a verified account for many years. It's because of the band that I'm in. I'm in a band called Phantom Planet. A lot of people hear that name and they're like, that sounds familiar, but I don't know what the band is. We were the band that wrote the song California that was used on the television show The OC back in 2003, I think.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I play guitar in that band, and I think I was just verified because of that. So.
Okay, yeah, and you have like 14,000 followers, so that's a decent amount compared, to most people. I've only got 3,000.
So last year, around the time that I got involved with Safemoon, I think I bought tokens on May 3rd or May 5th of last year. That was my first Safemoon purchase. I think I only had maybe 2,500 followers or 2,400 followers. And over the year, just from being so involved in the community, it grew up to 14,000. So it's a lot of Safemoon people for sure.
Yeah, and I think you've always been seeing, whenever I read your posts and stuff, I always feel like that's just a realistic kind, perspective to engage with people for the most part. How are you feeling about Safemoon right now and its future?
I mean, I've remained bullish the entire time. Honestly, I've always seen it as a long-term hold. I have not been trying to just get rich quick with it. So I'm patient. For me, the price is not that important right now. I know a lot of people, when they talk crypto, they refer to the price and they think that that's such an important thing. And I guess if you're thinking of something like Bitcoin or Ethereum, then yeah, price is what matters the most. But for something like Safemoon, where there's reflections and there's a matter of the daily volume being a really important factor, I don't really worry about the price. If I see it dip and I have extra money lying around, typically I'll buy more. But I don't sell it. I've only bought it.
Yeah, more regarding the future of Safemoon, it'd be really hard for them not to succeed with the community they have behind them, with the funding they have, with the connections they have. I think they just made reward tokens famous, and now everybody's kind of following in their steps, trying to improve upon it. But they're the number one, known for that.
I guess with any crypto though, it's good to know that of course your investment can fail. I mean, it's possible that that's going to happen. But I think I actually just tweeted about this. I feel like if you are investing in Safemoon, or if you're already invested, you're kind of investing on the potential that both John and Ryan have together as a team. That's how I see it these days.
How do you feel about the whole mindset of the Safemoon community right now?
That's a really good question. I think that there are certain people who are kind of like anchors of the community. There's definitely certain people who maintain a positive outlook on things. There's certain people who kind of get into the territory of it being very negative all the time. I've always just tried to be kind of in that gray area and see the good and the bad, knowing full well that I'm going to hold long term regardless of it.
It's such a hard thing with investing, because you feel like if there's anything kind of negative mindset or talking about something, that it's FUD and it's going to hurt their project. And the reason that people get into these projects is because, it's because they want to be rich. They want to make money. That's at the core of what's driving everybody's dreams for Safemoon, is that it's going to blow up one day and everybody's going to be on a yacht. It's you have to have a healthy mindset of doing that. There are times when negative things happen that you have to, as an investor, in my opinion, be realistic. And at least if you're not willing to look at those things yourself, don't be upset at other people who are looking at the obvious negative things that are happening, like losing your dev team. That's a big deal. When we lost 3 of our main people, I don't think as an investor, a smart approach is just brush it away and keep a positive mindset. I think it's okay to have a healthy amount of criticism towards something. We were supposed to get the blockchain and the exchange and, big announcements on Project Phoenix last year, and I think a lot of people are starting to get upset about that, and it's being seen as FUD. I understand people being upset about being promised something like that and not having any of that. We do have the swap, which is the decentralized exchange. So it's just this weird area where there's so many toxic people and so many fake accounts pretending to be investors to attack a project, and then there's actual investors who are starting to get a little frustrated because they don't have the same level of hope that some people who are never going to give up on Safemoon have.
Definitely. Yeah, and it's good to know that, or it's at least wise to know that they're a brand new company. They've been around for a year. There's going to be ups and downs, just like you said. I know we were promised certain things and that they would be delivered by December of last year. Like you just said, with the restructuring, there's setbacks. And these things happen. So the thing I really don't understand is just why, if people, let's say they turn on Safemoon and they decide, oh, they don't think it's a good project and this and that, that's fine. Like, I don't have an issue with that. If people want to sell whatever they have and take their funds, totally fine. People could do what they want with their money. But to then go and turn your account into just a negative account where literally all you do is talk poorly on Safemoon, to me, that's just a big waste of time. It's like, why not just find an investment that you do like and focus your attention on that instead of focusing all this negative attention on something you no longer like?
I agree with you. I'm like, if you don't believe in something, I just don't talk about it. I just move away from it.
With that being said, I also think if someone does decide to sell their bag, or even if they decide to buy a bag, they don't need to announce that every time on Twitter. It's like, that's your personal thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's weird because in this space, it sucks because stuff like that can play a role in investors' minds who are in that space. Oh, I'm a huge whale and I'm selling my bag because blah, blah, blah. And anybody can just do that. Another project that hates us or somebody who just hates Safemoon can pretend to be a whale and FUD the project.
I do have a question for you, actually, with Safemoon.
Okay.
In regards to the Safemoon exchange, what do you think about the whole swap kind of turning into what the exchange maybe is going to be?
John called the swap the decentralized exchange. That's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, which is, how is Safemoon actually going to succeed, and how to reward tokens that have that fee create volume? And unfortunately, it seems to be that the answer involves getting rid of that fee and using a lower fee. And I think that's what we're doing with the swap, is we're using, a lower fee that goes back to the liquidity and to the burn. And if the swap does well enough and they end up kind of becomes like a go-to place for people to get listed and to, to get tokens, especially with the cross chain, maybe people will find that a better place to be. That I think it can create a lot of volume, but I think that ultimately, I don't know if it can create enough volume like what we want to see, which is the actual 10% fee that buys and sells that actually create the rewards that we're looking for. Yeah, I think that's a serious problem with reward tokens, is you kind of create a problem when you use the buy and sell and transfer fee as kind of part of the rewards, because you get rid of day trading. And if you try to attach that crypto to anything, anybody else can beat your product by not having that fee that you have. It's like, how do you justify that fee? And I think that's where we see, where I personally think that success is going to come for reward tokens. And I'll just do a little Evergrow shill here, is that Evergrow is taking all their profit from all their utility, which is an outside source, and coming back into it and buy back and burn. It basically is going right into the investor's hands. So I know Safemoon has a measure of doing that as well, but it would be great to see a real utility that produces a lot of profit that's used for buyback and burn. I think that's the key to success, because then that can turn into even more investors seeing that and then jumping on board, and then you start to get that volume from the regular buys and sells because they see that consistent rewards are happening.
I also think that with what Safemoon is doing, it's kind of just a bunch of small steps, as opposed to like, hey, here's our exchange. Now everybody's going to have $1 billion in daily volume. I don't think it's going to happen like that. I think it's going to be just kind of what they've been doing, where they're implementing all these different little steps. And then eventually we'll kind of look at it and go, oh, wow. I think it'll just morph into that.
Didn't you make the Safemoon anthem?
Okay, so a lot of people have asked me about that. I've made a couple songs, not even full songs, but just kind of like templates of songs, where I was attempting to kind of try to get the community involved and say, okay, what kind of vibe do you like if I were to create a Safemoon anthem? A lot of people responded. It was very cool. And then I noticed very randomly, Mr. Adult, who's part of the Safemoon team, he kind of reached out to me and he's like, we are interested in having a Safemoon anthem, but it might not be the right time right now. but that he'll be in touch. You know, when people ask me, I'm like, it's possible that I could do it, but there's no guarantee of it at all.
It would be really cool if you did, because it would be taking someone who's, you know, been a part of the community and part of the journey and kind of rewarding one of the loyal people. You know, you're one of the few people that I know is like a music person in the space. I know we had like Lou the writer, and there's a couple other rappers, and honestly every rap I've heard about Safemoon has been like really good level rap where I'm just like, dang, these guys are good. But yeah, your music's really good as well, and it would be really cool if you got to write like an official like Safemoon song of some sort. All right, Darren. Well, thanks for doing this, man, and I guess I'll see you around on Twitter.
All right, man. Have a great one.
Yeah, you too.